This SoonerScoop.com video is streaming in crystal clear 4K resolution on YouTube thanks to Enjoy Vision in Oklahoma City. From the big plays to life's everyday moments, see it all in sharp focus with LASIK at Enjoy Vision. Enjoy Vision. This is where Sooner Scoop LASIK.
Hello and welcome back. Eddie Berdosovich, George Stoya here on a Friday. Welcome back to a William and Lauren practice report. Welcome back to the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel. And a Friday with a bye week is a beautiful thing. Obviously, we talked to Brent Venables on Thursday night. We recapped everything here on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel for you. You can watch that video. This would be more centric around the players. Talked to David Stone, as well as Peyton, Bowen, Deion, Burks, Grayson Miller, that I think is still one of the more fantastic stories, probably like nationally. Like he's leading the country in punting right now, 51 yards a kick. So welcome back. We will kind of reconvene on Monday, I'm sure, for a recruiting report. Obviously, I don't really know what we're going to do about a game day rewind, but Oklahoma, the players, they are kind of doing their own thing this weekend. No more practice for the rest of the week. And George, it was you get the bye week. You think, okay, it might be a little bit light. A very active week here with the John Mateer news. I mean,
it was the biggest story of the week in terms of college football and obviously a Heisman front runner and all that. And then it turned into sort of not a circus, but a viral sensation with Dr. Stephen Shin on the interwebs. So that was kind of fun. OU fans, I think, really kind of showed they were SEC ready with some of the stuff.
Yeah, they're coming strong here on the interwebs during Oklahoma's bye week. Obviously, a little bit easier to peacock when you're 4-0, and that's where Oklahoma's at. We'll hear from Peyton, Bowen, and Deion Burks here shortly, talking about the John Mateer news. But first, let us tell you about our good friends over at William & Lauren, the official custom clothier of OU football. William & Lauren outfits your favorite OU players in custom suits that boost their confidence off the field to match their confidence on the field. Their perfectly tailored clothing ensures every Sooner stands out in comfort and style at prices that make luxury accessible. You can visit William & Lauren in Oklahoma City or in Tulsa or online at williamandlauren.com. That is williamandlauren.com. Dress like a champion and make your style as legendary as Oklahoma football. If you pick through this video here, some of the players, it's always fun to see some of the guys. I know we were talking about Wes Goodwin before he walked through. Really liked the suit, Coach Goodwin. You can shave too.
I did.
You look clean. Where'd the mustache go?
Using my Harry's razor to get rid of it. I don't think the wife was the biggest fan of it.
She's going out of town. She wouldn't know for a couple days.
I know, but it just did not look good. I was reading the YouTube comments.
There he is.
Wes Goodwin looking good.
Wes Goodwin, right?
And look at Ben Arbuckle. He needs to be getting Harry's. But I've said it. I use Harry's literally every single day. I love their products, whether it's their razor or some of the shaving creams and some of the oils that they have. I know the cooling thing that Carrie got is really cool. So right now, for a limited time, our listeners can get Harry's trial set for only $8 plus a free gift at harrys.com/SoonerScoop. That's right. Just head over to harrys.com/SoonerScoop to receive our exclusive discount. After you purchase, they will ask you where you heard about them from. Please support our show and tell them our show sent you.
Very good. Thank you to William Lauren as well as Harry's. All right, let's get into it a little bit here with some of the players from Thursday night. A shortened media session, and we talked about it on the Brent Venables breakdown, but we did ask for John Mateer, and Brent Venables even, I think, granted the access.
Yep.
John obviously didn't want to talk. Been a long, probably 72 hours since Tuesday when all the news broke about the hand surgery. Everything's successful, though, as we talked about on Thursday night. But it was more about getting some player reaction, right? Michael Hawkins stepping back into the starting role for Oklahoma come next week when they welcome Kent State to town.
Yeah, and hopefully we get to talk to Mike next week. I would assume we will.
Sure.
And obviously we'll get to talk to Ben Arbuckle too, which I think will be, an interesting press conference, kind of get to ask him about, hey, how do you tailor this offense to Michael, or do you keep doing what you're doing offensively? So that'll be good next week, but it was good to hear from some of the leaders on this football team, or guys that, obviously play quite a bit, kind of their reactions to what's going on. And I think my takeaway, Eddie, was one, they think John Mateer's a dude, right?
Sure.
For doing what he did in the Auburn game and playing through the injury. And then I think the other part is they have all the confidence in the world in Michael Hawkins.
No doubt about it. Here are a number of players talking about the John Mateer thing, which certainly came as a surprise to us. I think that the surgery had to happen. Same for them in the locker room, as well as Michael Hawkins taking over the starting role.
I mean, yeah, like it all hit us weird because we didn't know. Like during the game, after the game, like nobody knew. And so whenever we all got told, I mean, it was a little like shock, but we all know like what we're capable of, that one person doesn't depict his team and make up all of our parts. So we all got to just come together and play our hearts out, like, for John now, so that when he gets back, he'll be able to lead an even better team now. And so that's kind of where our mind's at. We're not gonna waver at all. Like, we're just gonna head first into these opponents that we got. We didn't know, like, dead serious. Like, I was with him like that night, and you wouldn't even be able to tell. And so it was really weird, but that's just how he carries himself. Like, he's just such, like, he's so competitive. Like, he made a play at fall camp on a jet sweep, blocked one of our corners. Like, that's how I know, like, that from that play on, I was like, yeah, he's gonna go in there. He's physical. Like, he don't care about his body in, like, a sense. Obviously he cares, but, like, he gonna lay it on the line for this team.
Impressive, man. Nobody knew. Like, he didn't complain once about it. His whole goal was just finishing the game and coming out with a W, and we achieved that, and it was definitely dope just seeing him push through. Oh man, we've been with him forever. Man, it's like next man up mentality. We know Mike. We know what he could do. Know what he did last year, but this year is going to be even more special, man. You got the guys around him that surrounded him, and just picking him up. It's like not losing a beat.
Have you had the chance to talk to John since he got back?
Yes, I have, man. He's in great spirits, man. He's a competitor, so of course he want to be out there. But it's just great seeing him out here trying to just take everybody under his wings.
Great human being, first of all. I love the kid. Love him. Always talk to him. Anytime I see him, always make it apparent. Stay ready for the moment. As a player, he's great. I love going against him. Especially against running quarterbacks. His legs is it's a weapon. He got his arm, but when he runs, there's not many that can run like him. So playing against him at practice, getting better every day. It's definitely something that benefits us as a team. Having that quarterback to challenge us.
I feel like the experience. I feel like he's way more ahead of his years. He doesn't play like no sophomore. He's been behind John, so he picked up a lot on his great habits, and man, just great, man. Just not losing a beat out there, just watching him sling the ball around, and it's a great thing to see.
What are the expectations for, like, leadership from both Hawkins and, I imagine, Mateer still being around the team?
It's the same expectations. It's just the standard's the standard. We won't lower for whoever gets hurt, whoever's not. Nobody on the team is really just down. It's just, man, next man up, man. It's time to step up and do our job.
I think that with the new staff we got and the new quarterbacks coaching we have, like, he's really developed really well, and he's taken this whole time, just like off-season and stuff, to really learn from John, and not just John, but like Coach Cruz and Coach Arbuckle, to like really develop himself into an even better quarterback than he was, to being able to start his freshman year to now. It's like a huge jump. And so, like, if he played last year, I think it would have been a different story, but like, we never know. But I think he's really going to make a really good stride.
Battling the wind. Welcome to Oklahoma. It never stops. Let's talk a little bit more with Peyton Bowen, because he's playing some of the best football that he's played since he came into Dorman.
Yeah, I think he was the highest rated safety in the country maybe last week, and on Pro Football Focus. So he's playing extremely well. He's playing a lot of snaps. I think he's played the most defensive snaps of anybody on the team so far. So obviously the coaching staff really trusts him out there. I think that, talking to him, we've always said, incredibly smart guy. I think they trust him to be one of the communicators out there, especially on the back end. But yeah, he's played extremely well for him. Needs to, get that interception on Jackson Arnold this past week, but he's certainly always around the ball, it seems.
Here is Peyton Bowen talking about interceptions, turnovers, something that Oklahoma defensively has not been able to. That's the one thing that this team has not been able to do here during the season for Oklahoma.
You guys emphasize turnovers. You haven't had any. Is there a balance, like, to making sure you still stick with your process and don't try to force the action?
Yeah, we're not forcing anything. Like, we know, like, it's not turnovers come. Like, we've had, like, there's games like Tulsa my freshman year where you have 5 turnovers. Like, quarterbacks just throwing us the ball. I feel like teams have been very conservative against us in, like, the way they're playing. And so, I mean, we just can't force nothing. We're playing great defense. The turnovers will come, and whenever we need them, we'll get them.
Is that a point of pride that you guys have? I mean, teams have kind of attacked you guys from a conservative nature. I mean, is that a point of pride in the defensive locker room?
I mean, I wouldn't say it's pride, like, because, pride comes before the fall, so we don't really want to pride ourselves on that. Like, we just think that we're playing a great brand of football, and that we just got to keep going and just don't play hero ball. Don't get out of our way to try and go create these turnovers. Just play within the scheme, and they'll come.
certainly nitpicky when you're talking about a defense that has been dominant to a certain extent through the first 4 games.
Think how much better, though, they could be. Like, all of a sudden you start creating turnovers. It's really dominant.
Well, and I think if you're going to navigate these next 2 games, maybe, I guess technically 3 games, Kent State, Texas, obviously, without John Mateer. We'll see about the South Carolina game and then from there. But if you're going to be able to navigate this with Michael Hawkins, I think that you have to be able to, A, run the ball, find a way to run the football, and then B, on the defensive side, you got to force some turnovers. We've seen at the Cotton Bowl how much a turnover can turn a game around.
Can change the game. And even if it was John Mateer playing quarterback, you still need this defense, to flip the field, get you some turnovers, maybe score a defensive touchdown or set up, your offense in good position. So I think they'll start coming. I think what you're seeing is sometimes it is just luck because OU's defense is very, very good, and they've had some opportunities, whether it be dropped interceptions or strip sacks or whatever, and the ball just hasn't bounced their way. Sometimes that's just part of turnovers.
No doubt about it. What have you thought about Deion Burks this season to date?
I think he's been good, not great. I think there's more out there. I think that they've tried to get him the ball in some creative ways. I think his numbers is something like 23.
I got it right here. 23 for
265, 2 touchdowns.
You got it.
I was writing about
11 and a half a reception,
which is good. I think that you still want to see him, maybe break some more tackles, get loose a little bit more, maybe see the offense push the ball down the field. I think some of its teams are defending him extremely well. I do think, though, getting somebody like a Javonnie Gibson back could open things up even more for Deion Burks, because I think teams are really keying in on Deion right now because they know how explosive he is. Same with Satania, that if you add another receiver, especially a guy that's maybe a little bit different than Deion, like a Javonnie, it can kind of open the window for him.
Here is Deion Burks talking about the wide receiver position, as well as Javonnie Gibson getting back into form, as well as Peyton Bowen talking about his brother Eli, who will be back alongside Javonnie Gibson for Oklahoma defensively, as well as Kendall Dolby, who has been battling through some stuff over the last couple of weeks, maybe his best football of the season ahead.
So much of the bye week is about looking at yourself and what you guys want to do for the receivers. What are some of those areas that you guys are hoping to make a leap here for this next stretch of the season?
Yeah, just improving. Just better with our feet, better with hands. Just being technical sound, and just being a reliable target. Everybody just focus on getting better during this week, taking advantage of this week, and just taking the next steps.
Exciting to get Javonnie back on the practice field this week for you guys?
Man, it's very exciting, man. Dude's explosive, man. Feel like he haven't missed a beat either, Even when he wasn't playing, still feel like he was always there, mentally there, and still playing. So it's definitely great to have him back.
And I think he just comes in with the same mentality he had at that same moment. He was battling injuries early on in last season, made a great impact for the rest of the year, and so I think he has that same drive to him that he did at his freshman year. Now, Dobie's Dobie. He's always going to come with the chip on his shoulder, and now he just has an even bigger chip on his shoulder with that injury and coming back from that. And so he's just been preaching I'm ready to kill somebody. This for me. I'm doing this for y'all and myself. I got something to prove. And so I love that he's coming in with that mentality every day.
Oklahoma on a bye week, which means it's not a bad time to start planning ahead, right? Got Kent State in Norman coming up next week, and then OU Texas obviously coming up in a couple weeks. All you got to do is go to gametime.co and get your tickets today. Really easy process. You can get the app, which makes it extremely easy, George. Create an account. Use code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, all you got to do is create an account and redeem using the code ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket. Go. Download the Game Time app today. You've done it before, George.
Yeah, I've used Game Time a lot for concerts, sporting events, a lot of Thunder games. But look at there. You can go to the Cotton Bowl. That would be on the Texas side, it would appear.
Interesting. A lot of seats on the Texas side, huh?
That is very interesting. But I'm also looking on my laptop. You can go to Kent State next week for $54. That's a pretty good deal.
That's a really good deal if you want to watch a top 10 team in the country play a little football. So again, all you got to do is take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Again, create an account and redeem with the code ON3 for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download the Game Time app today. George, what you thought about Kendall Dolby? I think it's taken a little bit longer than maybe some expected for him to really get back into the swing of things.
Well, and he had a really serious injury, breaking his ankle last year, and he dealt with some other stuff. I know he had a little wrist thing going on. He was wearing a cast a lot of fall camp. I think he had a hamstring thing, so he's kind of gone through the ringer these last few months, especially. So I think it's going to take him some time. I think eventually he's going to be a big impact player for Oklahoma. Where he's playing, I think that's the most interesting thing, because you get Eli Bowen back, starting to feel really good about that corner room and some of the depth you have there. Do you move Kendall back inside, have some of that nickel? They lost Jeremiah Newcomb for the season. He was somebody that I think they really saw playing that nickel slot area. I wonder if Kendall Dolby can slide in there. He's obviously played some of that, playing the cheetah. I would imagine that's kind of where they see him playing. But I'm not worried about him. I think eventually we're going to look up at the back half of the season, he's going to be playing meaningful snaps for OU.
And to a man, I think anytime that we talk to any of his teammates about him, he is one of the guys that I think you would consider kind of the heart and soul of that defense, and certainly from a leadership standpoint, has certainly been around. Not saying that he hasn't. It's just you would like to see him have a little bit more success out there on the field. David Stone, a ton of success here through the first 4 games of the season. We did catch up with him on Thursday night, and it's kind of a continuation of a guy that I think we have seen, I think truly kind of mature in front of our eyes here over the last year and a half in Norman.
Yeah, and he's taken on a much bigger role, and I think that tells you the coaching staff obviously trusts him and how much better he's gotten. I'm actually looking at his stats from last year, and obviously he didn't play near as much a year ago, but he last year had 6 total tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. This year, Eddie, through 4 games, he already has 13 tackles, 2 tackles for loss, and 1 sack. So he's already matched or better than what he had a year ago in 13 games. He's been fantastic, and we kind of talked about it. I say Jaden Jackson's the best player on this football team. You say maybe it's David Stone. Both those guys have been awesome, but David has really elevated his game this season, and it just feels like he's only going to get better.
And I think the thing about it with David Stone and any of these guys on the defensive line, when we talk about him, it just seems like they've come up with some massive plays when Oklahoma's needed it the most to get off the field, whether it be on a 3rd down and they get a sack, or they close out a game like they did Saturday against Auburn.
That room's so talented. You got so many guys at defensive tackle. Who was the guy out there at the end of the game for Oklahoma? David Stone. He was one of those guys that was out there on that defensive line, and I think that tells you everything you need to know.
Making a big impact on the field. Here is David Stone talking about a big game against Auburn, as well as, again, leaving a legacy in Norman.
Man, honestly, I think I bust my nose on one of them. I think they threw a flag or something, but it was cool, cool little moment. I was just ready to go out there and execute. That's what I do. Go out there and do my job every play. That's my goal. So, if the sack happens within me doing my job, I'm, God willing, I'm all for it. It was surreal, hearing the crowd in the moment. I just wanted to, soak it up all in and enjoy it and be there in that moment and, be very present and enjoy it, because, you only get one of those games. Mm-hmm. And, the next game is Kent State. So up until then, that was my focus, was Auburn, and I really enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it, but now I'm focused on Kent State and what I got to do this week.
April, you're in the transfer portal. 6 months later, you have a game like you had the other night. Just how rewarding is that?
Man, I feel like it goes back to just the commitment, the coaches, everyone that stayed important to me, and, treated me with such respect that, we like who you are as a player, but there's work to be done, and I had that same mindset, since I've been here. I got to get better. I got to get better daily. That's been my focus, and, that's been my drive. I want to do so much for the program, just going back to building legacy, that's something that, that I want to submit myself in. So, having a game like that, it is good for me. It brings a little bit of joy to me. For that legacy to be built, you got to keep stacking daily, weeks, months, years and seasons.
I think everybody, at least from my perspective, you just almost kind of pull for guys, the in-state guys too, that even though he obviously ended up graduating from IMG, pull for some of those guys, especially Oklahoma City products.
Oh, for sure. And David's also a guy, we've gotten to know now the last few years, because he was such a big recruit, and everything that went into it, like knowing his personal story, he's definitely a guy easy to root for, and being an in-state kid too, like doing what he's doing has been awesome to watch.
I think if you would have told this next in-state kid that he was going to be kicking at Oklahoma, I don't know what he would have thought, because he went to Lubbock Christian to begin his collegiate career. Grayson Miller, he's been fantastic at punter, taking over for Jacob Ulrich, and I think it's maybe a little bit of a Wally Pipp situation. I don't know if Jacob's going to earn that job back with the way that Grayson's kicking right now.
He's been unbelievable. I mean, arguably the best punter in the country right now, not only with his average, but he's pinned guys or pinned teams, inside the 20 or 10 yard line several times. Like, the dude's been fantastic, and just an awesome story in terms of, like you said, he went to Lubbock Christian not to play football, but to play soccer. Left there, went to UCO to play football, and I think punted and kicked for them, and then ended up in the transfer portal, and Doug Deacon somehow found him, or maybe Grayson Miller reached out to Doug Deacon. I don't know how it all went down, but very awesome story. And he's somebody that I don't even think, like, I remember when they walked him into the media session, I think that was back in the spring with the newcomers, and all of us were like, who the heck is that guy?
Yeah.
We didn't even know who he was.
Sure.
I don't even think he was listed on the roster yet. So it's just been phenomenal to see what he's been able to do.
Been a nice recovery, or I guess search and recovery. No, I don't know what I'm thinking of here.
I don't know.
What would it be? It was a nice, my brain's melting. It's Friday. Emergence? No, I'll think of it here. Here's Grayson Miller talking a little bit more about his story.
Yeah, I mean, my story to any of the younger guys is just go do your thing. Say lots of prayers, look for opportunities, and take advantage of the opportunities you get. Because, like, I am the extreme case where I didn't go to any camps. I did go to camps, but I didn't go to any national ranking camps. I had no stars coming out of high school. And good Lord provided for me because I just continually sought him. So that'd be my message. You just do the right things and look for opportunities and stay ready. It's been a blessing. It's been really, really cool. The last few months have been completely different than anything I'm used to, but it's been awesome.
Would freshman year Grayson Miller at Lubbock Christian University playing soccer would have believed it if you'd told him 3 years from now he'd be second in the nation in punting for Oklahoma?
No, absolutely not. Freshman year Grayson was just chilling on the bench at LCU trying to figure out what he was going to do with his life, and so he'd be stoked and in disbelief, honestly, if he knew he was right here.
Was there a moment when you knew, like, you do belong here?
Well, I think that goes back to more of my, like, story on how I got here. I saw, like, there were, like, lots of signs and dreams that I had about being here. One of them, on my birthday in 2023, there was a hot air balloon that landed in my mom's backyard about 3 weeks after I started praying and asking God if I should be here. And as it fell and the logo of the balloon faced right towards my window, it said OU Sooners on it. And I was like, holy smokes. The very next day I hit the, now second biggest ball of my whole life that was on the cover of my highlight video that got me here. So I always felt like I was supposed to be here. But really, in that, like that's kind of where my belief that I should be here lies. I mean, the success is really cool and it's fun, but I mean, without it, I still feel like I should be here.
Where has Coach Deacon helped you the most?
Oh, he's helped me a ton. Every day we're in his office, we're talking about technique, how to better our skills. We're talking about situational things. We're always working. So he's been really influential in all of it because he's always given us work to do, and it's really cool.
Got a unique story. Bowen's got a unique. What is that just for the whole team when you've got guys contributing that come from literally like all over?
Man, we come from all over too. And like at the beginning of the season, John Mateer was having us kind of share our stories or our testimonies, if you will. And so like I got to hear a lot of the guys' stories of how they grew up and how they had hardships and how they persevered through those. And I thought that was huge because I have a unique story too. And it was just like, it was cool to know that we were all kind of brought up through different circumstances, and that's how we made a team today. Like our team just functions off of everyone we got. So it was cool to see that we have so many different stories making one story at once.
What a wild story, talking about
the hot air balloons
landing in backyards. You know, I had dreams like that, but then I realized I was 25 and I was on acid in my apartment. So there it is. That's going to do it for a week with Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Reconvene on Monday, Kent State week, and then the fun begins with Texas and South Carolina and Ole Miss and certainly a timetable, hopefully, for John Mateer. Big football weekend,
I was
though.
about to say, you like any games coming up this? I mean, I
love all of them.
But any team, I guess, any teams you're in some of those big games.
Don't look now on Friday night. Don't look past Friday night, I guess we should say, with Florida State and Virginia. Chandler Morris, former Oklahoma quarterback. TCU, Arizona State on Friday night.
That's a great game.
It should be like winter, maybe front end of maybe playing in Arlington. They might play again at Arlington at some point in the year.
You like Lincoln against Illinois at the, what is that, 9 a.m., 10 a.m. game or whatever?
Well, it's 11 a.m. in Champaign, but at 9 a.m. body clock, right?
I saw Lincoln complaining about that.
I'm sure he was bitching. Nobody cares, dude. Nobody cares. These guys are like 20 years old. What do we do? I find like the body clock and that whole conversation, and I guess it's easy when we don't have to go do that, but it's not that bad.
No.
It's not that bad. I do think that's going to be a good game, though. Illinois, USC.
How about Oregon, Penn State, the big one?
I kind of think Oregon wins, but that might be just because I think I've been now bullied into thinking that Drew Aller's not very good.
Yeah, I like Oregon, too. How about last one, Alabama, Georgia?
Georgia.
Me too. I'm not a believer in Alabama.
Old Miss, LSU?
Is that in Baton Rouge?
No, it's in Oxford.
Ole Miss.
Auburn, A&M.
I think LSU might be fraudulent.
Okay.
But we'll see.
What about A&M Auburn, team that we just saw?
Man, I think A&M's pretty good. I think Auburn can go win that game. I just talk about a tough, like we've talked about Oklahoma's schedule being tough. Auburn having to go to Norman and then College Station in back-to-back weeks is brutal.
Guess who they have coming to town next week?
Isn't it Georgia?
Yeah.
Welcome to the SEC.
Welcome to the SEC. Really good weekend, though, because I do think that we're going to start finding out a little bit more about some of these teams that, like in Alabama, that they look like they bounced back from the season opening loss to Florida State, but I don't know. Like you said, it kind of still feels a little bit fraudulent.
Yeah.
Like a lot of marriages in Alabama. How about that? All right, George Stoya, I'm Eddie Radosevich. We'll see you back here on Monday on the SoonerScoop.com YouTube channel.